Good morning, students. Once again, I welcome you all on my YouTube channel. Today, we are going to study the fourth chapter of Vistas. The name of the chapter is The Enemy. The Enemy is written by Paul S. Buck. So, before giving you line by line explanation, I would like to tell you briefly about the author. Paul S. Buck, who was born in 1892 till 1973, earned a Pulitzer Prize in 1932 for her novel The Good Earth. She won a Nobel Prize for Literature in 1938. She continued to write prolifically thereafter, choosing China as the setting for the majority of her work. Concurrent with a writing career, Buck was active in humanitarian efforts to protect Asian Americans against racial intolerance by increasing awareness. Now I will give you brief chapter sketch. The Enemy. The story The Enemy is set at the time of the Second World War. It is a heart-rendering portrayal of the conflict between man's head and heart. An American sailor is washed ashore in a dying state and is found at the doorstep of a very eminent Japanese surgeon and scientist, Dr. Sadao Hoki. Sadao is torn between his duty as a doctor and as a patriotic Japanese. His head is telling him to save the prisoner, while his mind is fighting to turn him over to the police. It is a difficult choice to decide whether one should allow oneself to be governed by emotion or by reason. So now I will give line by line explanation. So Dr. Sadao Hoki, who was a famous Japanese surgeon and accomplished scientist, lived in a house on the Japanese coast. So Dr. Sadao Hoki's house was built on a spot of the Japanese coast where as a little boy he had often played. His low square stone house was situated on rocks well above a narrow beach that was outlined means bordered with bent pines. As a boy, Sadao had climbed the pines, supporting himself on his bare feet. Bare means without shoes, footwear, as he had seen men do in the South Seas when they climb for coconuts. Sadahoki's father had taken him often to the island of those seas and always said to the little brave boy at his side, pointing towards those islands, he told Sadahoki that those islands there are the stepping stones to the future of Japan. So Sadahoki was told by his father whenever he took him to the island, showing them the island, he told him that those islands there they were the stepping stones to the future of Japan. Sadao had asked seriously to his father that where they would step they would step from those islands. His father had answered to Sadahoki that nobody knew because there was no limit of our future. Nobody could limit their future. It depends on what we make it. Sadao had taken this into his mind. So whatever his father had told to him, he had taken in his mind. As he did everything his father said. So he was obedient son, and whatever his father had said to him, he followed him. Sadahoki's father, who never joked or played with him, but who spent infinite pains, who spent lots of time upon him, who was his only son. So Sadahoki's father was very serious type of character, and he who spent utmost time on his son. Sadao knew that his education was his father's chief concern. So Sadao knew that his education was the main concern. Chief means main concern, main worry of his father. and for this reason he had been sent at 22 to America to learn all that could be learned of surgery and medicine. So that is the reason why Sadao Hockey had been sent by his father at the age of 22 to America so that he could learn the surgery and medicine, doctorate. Sadao Hockey had come back at the age of 30, and before his father died, his father had seen Sadao become famous not only as a surgeon, doctor, but also as a scientist. Because Sadao Hockey was perfecting means he was giving final shape, he was giving final touch to a new discovery which would which would make wounds entirely clean. So his discovery would make the wound injury totally clean. He had not been sent abroad with troops. So as he was working with a discovery, he was giving final touch to his discovery which would make wounds entirely clean. So Sadao Hockey had not been sent abroad with the troops. All the Japanese were sent abroad with the troops, but Sadao Hockey was not sent. Also, Sadao Hockey knew there was some slight danger that the old general might need an operation for a condition for which he was now being treated medically. Another reason why Sadao Hockey was not sent abroad with troops because general might need Sadao Hockey for an operation for which condition he was now being treated medically, and for this possibility Sadao was being kept in Japan. Clouds were rising from the ocean. The unexpected warmth of the past few days had at night drawn heavy fog from the cold waves. Sadao watched mist hide outlines of a little island near the shore. Sadao, he was watching how the mist, fog, covered the borders of a little island near the shore, and then the mist come slowly the beach below the house, wreathing around the pines. Wreathing is covering, how the mist covered around the pines, surrounded around the pines. In a few minutes, fog would be wrapped about the house. Sadao Hockey knew very well that the mist in a few minutes would cover his house. Then he would go into the room where Hannah, his wife, would be waiting for him with the two children. But at this moment, the door was opened by Hannah, and she looked out a dark blue woolen haori. Haori means a loose outer garment worn over the kimono. So she looked at the dark blue woolen haori over her kimono. Kimono means a loose wrapping around robe with wide sleeve. The Japanese people, they wear such type of loose wrapping around robes with the wide sleeve. She came to him affectionately. So Hannah, the wife of Sadao, came to him lovingly and put her arm through his as he stood, smiled and said nothing. Sadao Hockey had met Hannah in America, but he had to wait to fall in love with her until he was sure that Hannah was Japanese. Sadao Hockey's father would never have received her. Sadao Hockey's father would never have consented for marriage unless she had been pure in her race. He wondered often, Sadao Hockey, often he thought whom he would have married if he had not met Hannah. So Sadao Hockey, he wondered that he would not have married anybody else if he had not met Hannah. And by what luck, he had found her in the most casual way, by chance, literally at an American professor's house. And it was his good fortune, by luck, that he had found Hannah in the most casual way, accidentally, at an American professor's house. The professor and his wife had been kind people, anxious to do something for their few foreign students, and the students, though bored, had accepted this kindness. So the professor and his wife, in whose house Sadao Hockey and Hannah lived, they had been kind people, and they were anxious, interested. They were interested to do something for their few foreign students. And the students, even though they felt bored, they had accepted this kindness of the professor and his wife. Sadav had often told Hannah that how nearly he had not gone to Professor Ali's house that night. So Sadav Hockey, he had not gone to the house of Professor because the rooms were very small, the food was very awful, the professor's wife was also voluble, means talkative. These are the reason why Sadav Hockey he didn't want to live in the house of Professor. But he had gone and there he had found Hannah. But he had gone to the house of Professor when he had seen Hannah, a new student, and he had felt he would love her if it were at possible. So only due to Hannah Sadav Hockey, he had gone to live in the house of Professor. Now Sadav Hockey felt the hand of Hannah on his arm and was aware of the pleasure it gave him, even though they had been married years enough to have the two children. So Sadav Hockey and his wife both now live perfectly happy life. So even though they had two children, but their love for each other was as warm as ever. For they had not married heedlessly. Sadav Hockey and Hannah had not married thoughtlessly, without thinking about their career in America. They had finished their work at school and had come home to Japan. And when his father, Sadav Hockey's father, had seen Hannah, the marriage had been arranged in the old Japanese way by following the rituals of the Japanese way. Although Sadav and Hannah had talked everything over beforehand. So before getting married, Sadav and Hannah had already talked everything to Sadav's father. They were perfectly happy, and Hannah laid her cheek against Sadav's arm. It was at this moment that both of them saw something black come out of the mist. It was a man. So Sadav Hockey and Hannah, when they were affectionately looking at each other at that time, they saw something black coming out of the mist fog, and they saw a man. He was flung up out of the ocean. So Sadav Hockey and Hannah, they had seen that how a man was thrown out of the ocean by the waves. It seemed to his feet by a breaker, and it seemed that to his feet by a large breaker means waves. So the man was thrown out of the ocean, thrown to his feet by a waves. So the man was thrown to his feet by a huge waves of the sea. He staggered a few steps. The man was walking unsteadily a few steps, his body outlined against the mist. His body was outlined, means bordered against the mist, covered against the mist, his arms above his head. Then the curled mist hid him. Then the curled mist in a curved shape hid the man again. Hannah cried. Who that was? She wanted to know who that man was. She dropped Sadav's arm. They both leaned over the railing, bent over the railing of the veranda. Now they saw him again. The man was on his knees and hand crawling. Then Sadav Hockey and Hannah saw him fall on his face and lie there. The man was not able to stand, he was not able to walk. So they saw him fall on his face and lie on the sand. A fisherman, perhaps, Sadav said, washed from his boat. Sadav told his wife Hannah that the man must be a fisherman who was washed from his boat. And Sadav ran quickly down the steps, and behind Sadav, Hannah followed. She also came, her wide sleeves flying. A mile or two away on either side, there are fishing villages, but here was only the bare and lonely coast, dangerous with rock. So the surf beyond the beach was spike pointed with rocks. Somehow, the man had managed to come through them. He must be badly torn. Torn means he must be badly wounded, injured. They saw when they came toward him that indeed it was so. So Sadao Hoki and his wife Hannah, they saw that the man indeed he was badly wounded, injured. The sand on one side of him had already stained of red soaked blood. Red means blood. The sand on one side of him had already stained with the blood which was soaking through the sand. Sadhu exclaimed with worry that the man was wounded. He went hurriedly to the man who lay motionless. The man was not moving. His face was still in the sand. The man was wearing an old cap which was stuck to his head, soaking with the sea water. He was in wet rags of garments. Rags means clothes. He was in a wet clothes of garments. Sadao stopped Hannah at his side and he turned the man's head and they saw the face of the man. Hannah whispered with worry that it was a white man. The man was a white man. Yes, it was a white man. The wet cape fell away and there was his wet yellow hair, long as though for many weeks it had not been cut, and upon his young and tortured face was a rough yellow beard. So the man's wet cap fell from his head and they found his yellow wet hair, for which the hair had not been cut, and upon his young and tortured means tormented, the man had been tormented by the enemy, tortured face, they could see a rough yellow beard. So upon his young and tortured face was a rough yellow beard. He was unconscious. The man was unconscious and knew nothing they did for him. So the man was unconscious and the man didn't know what Hannah and Sadao had done for him. Now Sadao remembered the wound. Sadao suddenly he remembered the injury and with his expert fingers he began to search for it. Slowly the blood flowed freshly at his touch. When Sadao touched the wound, the blood flowed freshly. On the right side of his lower back, Sadao saw that a gun wound had been reopened. So Sadao had seen that a gun wound, he was injured because of the bullet, and that wound had been reopened. When he touched the wound, it reopened. The flesh was blackened with powder. Sometime, not many days ago, the man had been shot and had not been tended. So Sadao Hoki and Hannah, they thought that very few days ago, the man had been shot by the enemy and he had not been tended, means looked after. It was bad chance that the rock had struck the wound. So it was his bad chance, it was his bad luck, misfortune, that the rock had struck the injury. Oh, how he is bleeding, Hannah whispered again in a solemn voice. Hannah whispered again in a serious voice that the man was bleeding profusely. The man was bleeding very much. The mist screened them now. The mist screen means covered them. The mist covered Hannah, Sadao and the man completely. And at this time of day, no one came by. So at this time of day, nobody came to look after the man. The fishermen had gone home and even the chance beachcombers would have considered the day at an end. Beachcombers means person walking along the beaches collecting interesting things to buy, to sell and to get money. So the fishermen had gone home and even the accidental beachcombers would have considered the day was over. Sadao muttered that what they would do with that man. He was confused what to do, whether to listen to his head or to heart. But Sadav's trained hands seemed of their own desire, will to be doing what they could to stanch the fearful bleeding. Stanch means stop the flow of blood. So even though Sadav he was in dilemma what to do, what they should do with that man, but still his heart as a surgeon prompted him to stop the flow of the blood. So with his hand he stopped the flow of the blood. He packed the wound. Sadav packed the injury with the sea moss that strewed the beach. Strewed means scattered the beach. Moose and lichen. The man was moaning with pain. The man was crying with pain in his stupor. Stupor means unconsciousness. So the man, he was crying with pain in his unconsciousness, but he didn't awaken. The best thing that we could do would be to put him back in the sea. Sadav said. Sadav said to himself, answering himself, that the best thing that they could do would be to put him back in the sea because he was a prisoner, white person. Now that the bleeding was stopped for the moment, he stood up and dusted the sand from his hands. So Sadav, after stopping the bleeding, he stood up and dusted the sand from his hands. Hannah also agreed, said steadily that undoubtedly that would be the best to put the man back in the sea. It would be better. But she continued to stare down at the motionless man. Motionless means the man was not moving. Sadav said to his wife that if they sheltered a man, if they give shelter to a white man in their house, they would be arrested, and if they turned him over, if they handed him over as a prisoner, he would certainly die. So Sadav was in dilemma what they should do with the man. If they give him shelter in their house, then they would be arrested, and if they handed him over as a prisoner, then the man would die. The kindest thing would be to put him back into the sea. Hannah believed that the kindest thing would be to put him back into the sea, but neither of them is neither Sadav nor Hannah moved. They were staring with a curious repulsion upon the inner figure. So Sadav Hockey and Hannah both were staring with a curious repulsion. Repulsion means dislike upon the inert. Inert means here still. Figure means body. So Sadav Hockey and Hannah, they were looking at the man, looking at the body with dislike because he was a white man. Hannah whispered, "What is he?" Hannah whispered and she wanted to know what the man was. Sadav replied that there was something about him that looked American. The man was looking like an American. So Sadav, he took up the battered cap. So he took up the old cap, old and worn cap. Battered means very old and worn, torn cap. Yes, they're almost gone, was with the faint lettering, a sailor. So on the battered cap, the letter had almost gone, a sailor. So on the top of the cap, there was written a sailor, but almost it had gone, the faint lettering, which was not seen. So Sadav said that the man must be American and he was a sailor, which they came to know from the cap which he was wearing. He said, from an American sailor. The man was a sailor from an American warship. He spelled it out, US Navy. So on the cap, it was written that the man he was a sailor from American warship and US Navy. It was written US Navy. The man was a prisoner of war. So he exclaimed with worry that the man was a prisoner of war. Hannah cried softly that the man had escaped, and that was why he was wounded. The reason why he was injured because he had escaped from the enemy. So thou agreed that he was wounded in the back. Sadao Hockey and Hannah hesitated, looking at each other. Then Hannah said with decision, that come, are we able to put him back into the sea? So Hannah told her husband with resolution, and she asked whether they were able to put the man back into the sea. Sadao, he also asked his wife if he was, but whether she was able to put him in the bag. Hannah refused to put that man back in the sea, but she asked her husband to do it alone. So she didn't want to put the man back into the sea. She wanted her husband to put the man back into the sea alone. Sadao hesitated again. The strange thing was that if the man were whole without injury, if the man was without any injury, he could turn him over to the police without difficulty. So Sadao was a surgeon and his duty was to treat him. So Sadao hesitated and he felt that the strange thing was that the man was wounded, the man was not complete. If he was complete, he could hand him over to the police without difficulty because he didn't care about the man because he was his enemy. He was American while Sadao Hockey was a Japanese. All Americans were Sadao Hockey's enemy and he was only a common fellow. So see, he pointed towards the face of that man and told his wife that his face was very foolish. But since the man was wounded, he should not hand him over to the police. Hannah also said to her husband that he could not throw him back to the sea. Then, so what they should do? Then there was only one thing to do. We must carry him into the house. So Hannah suggested her husband that the only thing they could do was to carry him into the house. So they inquired by saying that what they would tell to the servant, but the servants, what they would tell to the servants. So Hannah replied that they must simply tell the servants that they intended to give him to the police. So they would tell the servants that they wanted to hand him over to the police. As indeed they must, Sadao. They must think of the children. So they should give the man to the police because if they do not give him to the police, then they would call traitor. So they must think about the children and his position. He was a Japanese and the man was American. And it would endanger all of us if we didn't give him over a prisoner of war. So if Sadao and Hannah, if they didn't hand him over as a prisoner of war, then they would put their life in danger. They would put the life of the children and the others in danger. It would be dangerous for them to keep the man in their house. Sadao also agreed that he would not think of doing anything else. He would just hand him over to the police. Thus, in this way, both Hannah and Sadao agreed and together they lifted the man. The man was very light, like a fowl, like a bird that had been half starved for a long time until it was only feather and skeleton. The man who was wounded, he was light like a bird and he had been hungry for a long time. It was like feathers and skeleton. So his arms was hanging and they carried him up the steps and into the side door of the house. This door opened into a passage and down the passage Sadao Hockey and Hannah they carried the man towards an empty bedroom. The empty bedroom belonged to Sadav's father, and since his death, it had not been used. So Sadav Hockey and Hannah they took the man into Sadav Hockey's father because it was not used after his death. They laid the man on the deeply matted floor. Everything here had been Japanese to please the old man. So Sadao Hockey's father was fond of keeping the things of Japanese in his room. So they found everything in the room Japanese. Who would never in his own home sit on a chair or sleep in a foreign bed. Sadao Hockey, he loved Japanese things. So who never sit or sleep in a foreign bed or chair. He liked all the Japanese things. Hannah went to the wall cupboard and slid back a door and took out a soft quilt. So she removed a soft quilt to cover the man. She hesitated. The quilt was covered with flowered silk. The lining was pure white silk, which was loved by Sadahoki's father. Hannah murmured in distress, in unhappiness, that the man was so dirty. He had not bathed for many days. So Sadav agreed that the man had better be washed. The man should be given bath. And so he asked Hannah to bring water, hot water, so that he would wash him. But Hannah refused to bring water because she could not bear for him to touch him. Hannah didn't want Sadahoki touch the man. So she said that they would have to tell the servants he was there and he would tell Yummy now. She could leave the children for a few minutes and she could wash him. So Hannah didn't want Sadav to touch him and to give him bath. She believed that they would have to tell the servants that the man was there and she would tell Yummy, the maid servant, she could leave the children for a few minutes and she could wash him, she could give him bath. Sadav thought for a moment and he agreed. He agreed that Hannah would tell Yummy and he would tell the other servants that the man was there. But the utter pallor means paleness, the complete paleness of the man's unconscious face moved him, touched him, first to stoop and feel his pulse. So he was touched by the man's unconsciousness, and which was on his face, and the paleness on his face. So he bent, it compelled him to feel his pulse, and he found the pulse was faint, but it was there. After feeling pulse, he put his hands against the man's cold breast, and the heart too was yet alive. So he could hear the heartbeat, which indicated that he was alive. Sadav told his wife that he would die unless he was operated. So Sadav told Hannah that he had to do operation, otherwise the man would die. The question was whether he would not die anyway. So there was still a doubt that after doing operation, the man might die. Hannah cried out in fear. Hannah cried out in fear not to try to save him. So she cried out and told her husband not to try to save him. Why? Because if he should live, then they will be put behind the bar, prison. So she was worried, what if he should live? If the man lived, then what would happen? Sada replied that what if he should die? So he was worried about what happened if the man would die. He stood gazing, he stood staring down on the motionless man. Sada Hockey was staring at the motionless man. This man must have extraordinary vitality. So according to Sada Hockey, the man must have extraordinary vitality, energy. Otherwise, the man would have been dead by now. So it is due to his vitality that he was still alive. But then he was very young. perhaps not at 25. So he was very young, maybe less than 25 years old. Hannah asked her husband whether he meant that the man die from the operation. Sadav agreed that yes, he meant that the man die from the operation. Hannah considered this doubtfully. She was still suspicious about what her husband had said. And when she did not answer, Sadav turned away. At any rate, something must be done with him. Sadav told his wife that at any cost, they must do something for the man. And first, he must be washed. So, first of all, Sadav believed that the man must be given bath. He went quickly out of the room and Hannah came behind him. She didn't wish to be left alone with the white man. So she was feeling afraid with the white man. He was the first she had seen since she left America, and now he seemed to have nothing to do with those whom she had known there. So he was the first. So the man who was wounded was the first man she had seen since she left America, because Hannah was also lived in America, and now he seemed to have nothing to do with those whom she had known there, because he was now Japanese by heart and by head. Here he was her enemy, even though the man who was wounded was American, where she belonged by her birth, but here at her house, the man was her enemy, even though he was an American, a menace, a danger. So the man was a threat for her, living or dead, whether he was alive or dead, it was a threat for Hannah. She turned to the nursery and called Yummy. So Hannah, she went to the nursery where her children are kept, and she called the maid Yumi, who looked after her children. But the children heard her voice, and she had to go in for a moment and smile at them and play with the baby boy, now nearly 3 months old. So she went to call Yumi, but the children heard her voice and she had to attend them by smiling and by playing with the baby who was nearly 3 months old. Over the baby's soft black hair, she motioned with her mouth, Yumi, come with me. So she called Yumi to come with her. Yumi replied that she would put the baby to bed. He was ready. The boy was ready to sleep. The baby was ready to sleep. She went with Yumi into the bedroom next to the nursery and stood with the boy in her arms while Yumi spread the sleeping quilts on the floor and laid the baby between them. So Hannah went with Yumi into the bedroom next to the nursery and stood with the boy in her arms. So she held her boy in her arms while Yumi spread the sleeping quilts on the floor and Yumi laid the baby between them. Then Hannah led the way quickly and softly to the kitchen. The two servants were frightened at what their master had just told them. So Hannah, she led the way quickly and softly to the kitchen with Yumi. The two servants, they were very frightened, they were in fear when they were told about the American prisoner of war, about whom Sadahoki told them. The old gardener, who was also house servant, pulled the few hairs on his upper lip. The old gardener, when he was told about the American war prisoner who was a house servant, he removed the few hairs because of fear on his upper lips. The master ought not to heal the wound of this white man, he said bluntly to Hannah. The house servant, he told Hannah very bluntly. Bluntly means bluntly to Hannah that the master should not cure the wound of this white man. Bluntly means hatredly. The white man, without respect, giving respect. The white man ought to die first he was shot. So he added that the white man should die. First he was shot. Then the sea caught him and wounded him with the rocks. If the master hears what the gun did and what the sea did, they will take revenge on us. So according to the house servant, so the man must die because first he was shot by the gun, then he was wounded with the rocks, and he believed that if the Sadahoki, if he heals him, what the gun did to him and what the sea did to him, then they would take revenge on them. So it was his destiny to die. Hannah replied courteously that she would tell him what the servant said. So she would convey the message of the house servant. But she herself was also frightened, although she was not superstitious as the old man was. So she was not superstitious like the old man who talk about the revenge would be taken by the sea and the sea and the and the rock. So she herself was frightened, although she was not superstitious. Could it ever be well to help an enemy? So it could not be well to help an enemy. Nevertheless, she told Yumi to fetch the hot water and bring it to the room where the white man was. So even though she didn't agree to help an enemy, but still she told Yumi to fetch the water and bring to the room where the white man was. So I am now finishing the first part of the explanation. The remaining part I will explain in the second video. So once again I thank you.